So, first stabbing I ever seen, sitting in LaGrange Chow Hall, like a weekend. I'm in the fish tank, still getting processed. Everything's going through. Chow sucks, by the way. It's just soy. It's crap, right? Either way, this old dude's in line. He's probably 15, 20 feet from us, waiting in line to go through for the chow. Young cat comes up, bop, 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 bop. Stabs him about 10, 15 times. They end up coming in, OC and everybody that's even around. Meal's over with, right? Lock him up. Dude's leaking. Luckily, the young cat didn't really plan it very well. Didn't have a nice knife or anything like that. So the thing is, so what that showed me was your actions have consequences, right? Choices, actions, whatever it is. The thing is that the incident that led to that happened like 10, 12, 15 years before, right? So old dude, I guess, dated the guy's mom or whatnot, ended up beating on her or something like that. Young cat gets locked up on a dope case, sees him up in LaGrange. It's a wrap. It was on site, Old dude had no idea what was going on. He was just going to chow like any other day, probably been there for a while, and that's the one big thing that I took from the whole experience, from the 4 years, is that no matter how good your intentions are, if you're doing the wrong things, it's going to end up coming back and getting you, right? No matter what it is. So that's something you have to think about, right? I always thought it was bullshit when I was sitting in grade school and middle school when they had those little posters that your actions have consequences, choices have consequences. I thought it was just a bunch of sayings, And then, so the last, 5 to 8 years of my life, now I'm starting to see these things happen, right? That all the bad, that karmic debt that we put out into the universe, and don't get it wrong, there's bad things that happen to good people, but a lot of bad things happen to bad people, and it's almost like, they put out that bad vibration, and that's what comes back to them. So now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to sit down and look at the bigger picture, right? That, hey, these choices that I'm making today can come back in 5, 10, 15 years, I got to pay the price now for what I did when I was younger, probably for the rest of my life, whether I like to admit it or not, And the thing is, they only got in trouble for a fraction of what I did. And that's just the way it is. So, I've had to learn these lessons through the hard times of life, right? That, I wasted a lot of good things. However, when you start looking back, you're like, man, I should have done that differently, should have done this differently. And I still have problems with it today, right? And my conscience tells me, hey, man, you shouldn't have handled it like that. It's on my mind, that if, whatever it is. And the big thing is that you got to take away those lessons and apply them to the next stage of your life, right? And that's what I think a lot of people don't do, that they sit around and they just keep living the way they're living without actually looking at the bigger picture, without looking at, hey, this is what's going to affect my life in 10, 15, 20 years. Obviously we live in an instant gratification world, Fortunately for that old dude, that the young dude didn't plan it out, because you can buy weapons off canteen, right? You can get you a big old tomato can, cut that bad boy up, make a nice knife, or tomato can, pellet case, ruin somebody's life. The lock and the sock, that's kind of the first weapon they give you right off the gate when it comes through processing. So you have to remember that your actions have consequences, and you can end up in a very bad place pretty quick. You don't want to end up in the county jail. You don't want to end up in the penitentiary, state or federal, whatever it is. It all sucks. If you do the right things in life, the right things will come back. Those good vibrations, that karmic debt that not a lot of people even think about. Whether you believe in God, you believe in the universe, you believe in whatever you believe in, right? If you don't believe in anything, I suggest you find something to believe in, no matter what it is. But that karmic debt will end up coming back to you one way or another. It might not happen for 20 years, and then 20 years, man, you might get some bad news, you might get cancer, you might get this, or you might get that. I'm not saying cancer comes from, bad decisions, but it can. I think we all know that. The universe only takes so much, It only allows you to take so much without giving back to it. You know, so that's why the big thing is you got to make your choices have consequences, and if you're not thinking about those consequences, then you're not thinking at all, and it could definitely come back and hurt you. All right, so God bless, take care, stay safe.